Hello everyone, I'm Rick and thanks for joining me. And to all my channel subscribers, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be looking at a flagship Class A headphone amplifier that really does do double duty as a stereo preamplifier, the Aune A17. And you will see the paid promo banner above because Aune Audio did provide this review sample at no charge for this review. So a big thank you to Aune Audio for their support of the channel. First things first, this is a beast of a headphone amplifier. The A17 measures 290 millimeters or 11.4 inches wide, 345 millimeters or 13.5 inches deep, and 130 millimeters or just over 5 inches tall. The weight comes in at 15.7 kilograms or 34.6 pounds. We have an all aluminum chassis with the top plate being 5 millimeters thick. Now I did mod mine. I had a local machine shop cut out a few square holes up on top so that I could have access to the input stage op amps after I tested a few. The sides are actually large heat sinks, and on the bottom we don't get feet. We get these two silicone non-slip strips here, and I guess they do work fine. There is no way that this guy is going to be accidentally nudged once you have it down. This guy is not going anywhere once you place it where you want it to be. Wherever you place it, that's where it's going to stay. Now we'll look at the rear before we look at the front. The rear is super simple. 2 analog inputs and 2 outputs, one in each RCA and XLR. In the center we have our mains power rocker. Under that a fuse holder and the IEC inlet. Now onto the front. The standout design element would be this protruding diamond shape on the front geometry with buttons to either side of the screens. And we have 2 screens, one at the top, one down at the bottom. And I suppose it was a choice that had to be made, but I personally don't like the bottom screen and how it slants away from me. It just makes it awkward viewing even at eye level. And I think I could have done without that bottom screen. It might have been nicer if this top part of the diamond would have went down a little bit lower and give us some more real estate on the top screen, and that would have been just fine with that front slant. Not that that top screen really needs any more real estate, but I suppose some of the elements could have been slightly larger so we can view them from a farther distance. Now let's do a quick walkthrough. I'll power on the unit with the main power rocker in the rear. Takes about 3 seconds for the unit to power on. And then on the upper left, we see our input select for RCA or XLR. We'll see it change up here. Then we have dedicated buttons to change preamp and headphone amp. So we have one labeled preamp and one labeled headphone amp. And the cool thing about it is if you look at the volume, we have independent memories for each. So that's always very nice to see. Towards the center we have a standby button, and this puts us into standby. And then we can power back on with the button or with the remote control. Then down at the far left, we have our headphone outputs, 4-pin XLR, 6.35 millimeter single-ended, and 4.4 millimeter Pentacon. In the center, we have 2 screens again. And moving over to the far right, we have a gain plus and a gain minus. The A17 gives us 4 levels of gain, which we see in the G1, 2, 3, 4. And these 4 levels of gain give us excellent volume granularity. More on this later. And then we have an A gain button. This is our current mode selector. We have a low and a high current mode. In high current mode, the A17 gets angry and turns red, and our second screen lights up with the temperature of the internals. And over towards the center, we have a display button. This one will turn our displays on or off. If we are in low current mode and we turn the display off, we have both screens off, but now we can also hit this button here and that'll switch our current to high current mode. And you'll see that we have our high current temperature only down at the bottom screen. So we can have both screens off, only the bottom screen, both screens, or just the top one if we're in low current mode. In low current mode, the temperature of the unit is in the center. Now we cannot control the brightness of the screens, but I personally think that the brightness is dead on. I really like this more muted display brightness. But if your space is super bright, or if you just like to listen to music with all your lights on, you might think that these screens are a little dim. Again, I don't. Finally, the volume encoder over to the right brings the volume up and down with a turn, mute with a push. And this is not a pot. The A17 uses an electronic volume IC, and a very nice one at that. The Muses 72323 that sits at the top of their product line. This R2R volume chip gives us 0.25 decibel step attenuation. That combined with the 4 output gain options, and you'll always find the perfect volume level. This chip also has a soft step feature that mutes the outputs during attenuation to prevent thumps and pops, and can also be used with either bipolar or JFET input stage op amps. And speaking of the input stage, Aune decided on twin JFETs in the form of OPA 2134s. And I asked Aune why these chips. They said it was definitely not for cost savings. They had tested some Muse op amps here as well, but ultimately wanted a sound that would fit well with the largest amount of headphones. And I can totally respect that answer. I also appreciate that they left the input stage op amps swappable, as these are probably the ones that'll make the biggest difference in this device. Oh, and guys, I've heard some people use the term hot swappable when referring to op amps that can be replaced. Just know that op amps are not hot swappable. The hot part of that term really means that when the power is on, and that term is better used for like portable hard drives, a USB stick, or even batteries if you have like a professional camera where you have 2 batteries and you can change the batteries out without having to stop recording. On op amps, if you try to swap them out while the power's on, you're probably gonna fry the op amps. Anyway, I listened a while to the A17 with the 2134s, but I wanted to tune more to my liking. So I started with the softer sounding Lewu EQ200s, but ultimately I stuck with the Burson V7 Vivids for their superior resolution and detail. The only issue that I ran across was the cover. The height of this unit really can't handle any op amp higher than an IC, hence the access holes that I had to get cut out here. Now taking a look on the inside, opening up the A17 from the rear, we see a 5mm rear panel as well, with a small daughter board that very smartly uses a few removable socket connectors for the XLR ins and outs. And this board did have the only, I don't want to say sloppy, but maybe careless soldering points. I would have thought that they would have trimmed some of this wire down a bit. Now I went ahead and trimmed this down myself. Moving on, from here we can see the size of the side panel heatsinks, pretty massive for a headphone amp. The RCAs are mounted sandwiched between these 2 circuit boards. And looking under the second board, we see the main filter capacitor bank with 80,000 microfarads of capacitance. Impressive. You don't see this much in a lot of power amps. Then under that, we see 2 more shields, followed by a fully shielded 100-watt toroidal transformer. And this transformer powers the analog section. This unit also has a separate, smaller, ultra-low noise 5-volt switch mode power supply for the display and the system control. Now looking at the circuit board, Aune calls this a fully discrete design. Now I don't know if I would say that. I mean, sure, that does sound nice, but they're using an IC for the volume instead of a discrete resistor relay ladder, and an IC on op amps instead of discrete components, or even a discrete op amp like this Burson V7. So I don't know. So I think fully discrete is a little bit of marketing, the same thing as handmade. Nowadays everything is made with machinery, so how handmade is it really? It is beautiful nonetheless, and I wish this product could have had a smoked glass top plate. There are about 6 green test LEDs that light up when the unit is powered on that do look pretty cool. Now here are the sockets for the input stage op amps. The Muses volume control is under this plate here. These aluminum bars act as heat sinks over 3 pairs of power transistors per side. We have a set of 15-volt and 20-volt test points here, and a bunch of 5-volt test points up here. And here in the center, just above this ribbon cable, is a high-speed digital isolator to keep any noise from the display and the controls out of the analog section. Just excellent attention to detail everywhere. We also get an all aluminum remote control that looks great and can do everything the front panel can do. This guy's pretty solid. Now I did reach out to Aune and I asked them if they can try to package the remote control a little bit better, because when I received mine, I received this one with the battery dead. So what I'm thinking had happened is that it moved around during shipment and a button was being pressed, lodged between some packing foam. So that killed the battery by the time it got to me. But if that happens, you can just unscrew the back and replace the little battery inside. After testing, I paired the A17 with the Aune A17 Evo DAC, as well as the Fosse S3 Lite streamer, and played music via Tidal Connect and listened with 2 pairs of headphones, both from Dunu Audio and both open back. First, the $430 Mortise dynamic driver headphone, and second, the $1,400 Arashi planar magnetic headphone. Oh guys, and check out this headphone holder that I made last week. I ripped a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and then I went around 3 inches wide here, and then I stained it with an antique walnut finish. I did have to go 2 coats because plywood is kind of difficult to stain. And then I mounted some hardware onto this. Right here, what I have is some hooks that I found on Amazon. These guys ran me $14 for a set of 6, and they're aluminum. And when they're open, we get around 2.5 inches of space here. Now they do come with some black hardware here to mount, some black screws, but I went with bronze screws to give it a little bit of contrast and interest. And then I mounted them 9.5 inches apart here. So the headphones fit in just right. And they give you a nice leading line for your eye to go to, and I think it adds a lot of interest and it makes it kind of a furniture piece for holding your headphones. What do you guys think? Anyway, back to testing the A17. With its gain on 1 and the current on high, I get loud enough with the Mortise at 60 on the volume controller and around 70 on the Arashis. The sound of the A17 to me is super transparent and neutral. Whatever goes in is just what comes out in the frequency response sense. No added flavor here, minus anything that you might change by swapping out the op amps. What the A17 does give you that you can hear are dynamics. This is a dynamics beast. Transients are amazing at any level, and crescendos are kept in total control. And this is apparent in rock and hip hop, but shines so much more in jazz. And I'm sure in classical as well, but I'm personally not a classical guy myself. The bass hits are incredible, and the silence in between them is equally incredible. My guess would be that those 80,000 microfarads of power reserve is a lot of what's helping achieve this. On the dynamic driver Mortise, the current mode changes from low to high weren't very noticeable to my ear. But on the Arashis, the planar drivers for sure benefit and are more controlled in the lows in high current mode. I would just leave the A17 in high current mode at all times for any headphones. As for IEMs, now I like IEMs, but for big powerful amps, I do prefer headphones. I use my IEMs with little dongle DACs when I'm on the go and I'm traveling. So I really didn't do any testing with the A17 and IEMs. But I only have basic IEMs. Maybe if I had a pair at $1,000, I would have then. But mine maxed out at around $150, and I don't see anybody with those kind of IEMs pairing them with an amp costing $2,400. As for comparisons, the closest thing that I had in-house that was anything close to the power output of the A17 was another Aune product, the N7, at 6.5 watts of power per channel versus the A17's 11.5 watts of power per channel. And there's really simply no comparison here. Now the sound quality at lower volumes is similar, I suppose, but the N7 doesn't have anywhere near the dynamic reserve of the A17. And while I really do like the N7 for what it is at its price point of $400, it is great, and it also has a low and high current mode. My main frustration with this little headphone amp is that it only has 30 steps of volume control, and it just really isn't granular enough for me. That being said, the A17 really is in a league of its own, and much above the N7. So that really isn't a fair comparison. Now as for the A17 as a preamplifier, the same sound characteristics transfer over from the headphone section over to the preamp output in the rear as well. A super clean, energetic, and dynamic sound. Versus my daily driver, the Jongsun JA1 with burst-in op amps, the A17 in its stock form simply adds dynamic punch. I would also say that the A17 seems more transparent and reveals a touch more detail. And back to that 4-stage gain, we get much more granularity on the low volumes with the A17 versus the JA1. Sometimes with late night listening, at 1 on the JA1 is even a little bit too loud. With the A17, that is not the problem. The only area that I do prefer the JA1 is in the ins and outs. The JA1 has 1 XLR in, but 4 RCA ins, versus just 1 and 1 on the A17 here. Now I do wish that Aune would consider making a pre-17 as a pure preamp with more ins and without the headphone stage here for say maybe $2,200. I would jump on that, no questions asked. So my final thoughts, the Aune A17 is an amazing headphone amplifier that can somehow send that same magic over to your power amp and your speakers. And at its asking price of $2,400, I can highly recommend it. The build quality alone will leave you impressed before even turning it on. And that's about all I have for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.